This is Charlie Parsons for Boxing Social in association with William Hill and Empire Fight Store. Got the big man, Frank Smith. He looks like he's in the back of a very lovely car. Where are you off to, Frank?
I'm on my way to London, mate. Heading up from Brighton. Got to get now. We got it all. Now we got it all sorted. I can head up.
Chauffeur driven?
No, not at all, mate. I'm not driving myself because obviously I won't be able to. The only reason is because I wanted to talk to you, Parsons. Really.
Of course. Well,
let's go. Otherwise, I would be.
Let's go straight into it. What a manic couple of days you guys would have had. I suppose, firstly, Dillian Whyte, the reaction. When did you find out that the test was failed?
Saturday morning, early hours of Saturday morning, we got some communication. I was away. Everyone was actually out of the country. A lot of us were out of the country. I spoke to the guys first thing in the morning, around sort of 9-10 a.m. our end, and then we obviously announced it a couple of hours later. She got everyone aligned. But yeah, it was very early hours Saturday morning.
There was something that came out yesterday sort of stating that there was more than one test failed throughout the camp. Have you had word of that, or is it just a sort of one that's been reported on your side?
No, look, I think all the details of the testing and everything like that, that's something that's, Dillian's gonna have to deal with. It was obviously, the matter's very confidential. That's something that Eddie's just been discussing on the Simon Jordan show this morning, with the expert Simon Jordan, who knows everything, and apparently I was told on Friday, which is all a load of bollocks. But yeah, the details of the test, that's something that Dillian's gonna have to deal with, and a confidential matter at this time.
All right, what is the process then when you sort of have to save an event? I know that Team AJ were adamant that they wanted to fight. Sort of opponent process. I know that, I don't know whether I'm speaking for you or whether this is actually the case, but the last time that Anthony Joshua took on an opponent on short notice, we know what happened with Andy Ruiz. Is the situation a fight that's deemed credible, but also one that's not too much of a big risk, paving the way for Deontay Wilder?
We had to find the best possible option. Everyone, especially on social media, will have their view on what we decided to go with. But at the same time, you can say he should have fought Andy Ruiz, or he should have fought Philip Hrgovic, or he should have fought this person. It's easy for someone to say that with no real knowledge or understanding of the numbers that go into it, the detail, what people are asking for. So I could say, yeah, I'll fight Anthony Joshua. Might want 10 million to do it. And then it's easy for everyone to go, why don't you fight him? Well, it didn't make any sense. So there's a lot that goes into making a decision like that. At the same time, we have to make the right type of fight. He's been training for someone, like Dillian Whyte. A southpaw wouldn't make sense. We had every man and their dog coming out, wanting the opportunity, obviously. But at the same time, like I say, I can want the opportunity, but it doesn't necessarily stack up on all ends. So we had to go out there. We had a number of options we were working through over the last few days. And look, Helenius, and his team have been a pleasure to deal with. Have moved very quickly, and a lot of people at these times would try and take advantage of the opportunity. But he wanted the fight, and that's one of the reasons he got it as well.
What was the shortlisted opponents? We know that Gerald Washington was potentially being looked at. Robert Helenius obviously has got the fight. I believe there may have been a sort of brief process of looking at Joseph Parker, perhaps. But are you able to sort of give us a bit more of a shortlist?
Like I say, there was 30 or 40 people that came on for the fight. We were working back and forth with the team, going through all the different options. At the same time, also working with our broadcast partner, DAZN. So, it has to make sense for everyone. And we have to obviously thank DAZN as well for their work and moving quickly and getting this over the line, because they're an important part of it. So, but AJ's been brilliant. AJ just wanted to fight. That was his focus. But there was a long list of names with numbers against them, what they'd asked for, and very quickly crossed out and gone, right, he's wasting our time. He's not going to do it. This is impossible. And that's where we ended. Eddie came out, I think, a day or two ago, or told some people Gerald Washington wasn't the one we were looking at. Obviously, Washington's fighting on the card against Eric Chisora. But it's a stacked heavyweight card from top to bottom. I think, we're taking it off pay-per-view as well. You get refunds if you want a refund on your ticket. But I think it's a brilliant heavyweight night of boxing. I think it's a great show. I think it's probably the best show we've done outside of a pay-per-view show. When you look at the card, you've got Hrgovic against Demsey McKean. The winner of that is mandatory for Alexander Usyk. You've got Johnny Fisher in his first title fight. You've got Derek Chisora against Washington. You've got Campbell Hatton on there, Maisie Rose, George Liddard. So I think it's a brilliant card. And yeah, I'm glad to get it done. It was a mad 3 days or two. When was it? Saturday. We're in now Tuesday morning. Worked all the way into the evening every night, the last few nights. I was actually away on holiday with my missus. Went down very well. But yeah, glad to get it done.
Was Derek Chisora ever considered as an opponent?
Look, Derek would fight anyone. Derek definitely wanted it. I don't think, you got to remember AJ also manages Derek Chisora, or 258 managed Derek Chisora. I don't think it was always ever too realistic. There was some discussions, but I think we picked a great option in Robert Helenius.
What are DAZN's thought process with it all? Obviously, it's a little bit out of your control. If a fighter fails a drugs test, I just heard Eddie say on Talksport that he's acted differently as opposed to the Ben Eubank situation. If that was the time again, you just would have cancelled the event altogether the minute you found knowing of it. What's it sort of like having to deal with a broadcaster in those couple of days?
Yeah, look, you obviously have to work through the detail of it, and they're the ones putting up money behind the event, as well as the ticket purchasers. And, they have to, it's a whole different show. It's a whole different, the numbers are all very much different. AJ's he's obviously taken a hit, but he wanted to fight. And like I say, we got to thank DAZN for getting a deal over the line. And that's all part of this process. Some people were frustrated that it was taking a bit longer. We would love to have come out and said, this is the plan, but you've got to work with so many people to get a deal over the line. It's not just, okay, the fight's off, this is what we're doing. We can't react that quickly. I think we reacted very quickly in the time we had. And, like I say, DAZN were brilliant. They came up with a deal. And I think it's a great fight for the subscribers. And I think we're going to see so a load of new subscribers come in for the show, like we saw for the Franklin fight. And it's good to get it over the line.
What test can you expect Robert Helenius to bring Anthony Joshua on this notice? We know that he fought on Saturday, so he was already sort of in some form of fighting shape and camp. It's not like he's just been called up completely out of the blue. We know that Deontay Wilder blitzed him out in a round, and not that Wilder's knockout power is devastating anyway, but if Joshua Wilder is the fight next, I suppose there's another little talking point in that as to who did best against Helenius, etc. What test can he give Anthony Joshua?
Helenius, did you hear anything of what I said?
I heard probably the first 20 seconds, so just from the top.
Can't remember what I said, so we'll start again and say Robert Helenius, he had a warm-up fight last Saturday, which he'd been playing for a long time. You're going to get a lot of comparisons to Deontay Wilder, but he went in there to fight with Deontay Wilder. He didn't shy away and try and hide from him in the ring. And he got caught with a massive shot. That's what Deontay Wilder does. He's a huge puncher. There's going to be a lot of comparisons there. But I think with a week's notice, it's a decent opponent. And it's hard, but the reality is we'll give people refunds on their tickets. The show's now not pay-per-view, and I think we've come with a really good solution. And whoever we would have picked, people would have moaned. That's the reality of it. And we've tried our best within a short time frame, and I think, like I say, Robert Helenius is going to go in there and give him a test, and that's what we want. Vamos, Parsons.
Vamos, Frank Smith. People are going to be like, oh my God, it's edited and chopped, but you will see the Wi-Fi ain't Wi-Fi. Frank is on the move. I'm just going to quickly pick this up. We heard the Helenius thing. Just for argument's sake, why not Ruiz? Why not McKean? Why not Hrgovic? Why not Joseph Parker?
I kind of covered it a little bit earlier, but I think, everyone, it's quite easy for someone to say, why didn't you do this? Who has no knowledge or information about the business at all. Just run through those names. Andy Ruiz would want an absolute fortune. He came out on social media, he called him out, but there was no real intention around it. Would want a fortune to take the fight. Why not Hrgovic? Hrgovic was training for a southpaw for 10 weeks in Demsey McKean. He's mandatory for Alexander Usyk if he wins the fight. So it's not just a case of, all right, I'll just jump out and take the AJ challenge now. Demsey McKean is Southpaw. AJ was training for Dillian Whyte for 10 or 12 weeks. That was never realistic. The other one you mentioned to me there was Joseph Parker. Boxed him before, obviously, and I also don't think the numbers would have stacked up, is the reality of it.
If you went with
But
someone
again,
like Joseph Parker, would it have had to be a pay-per-view slot?
possibly, yeah. But again, you're moving at such a fast pace. You're trying to come up with the best solution that keeps the card on. You know, and not everyone, as I said, I don't know if you've cut this bit out or it's been lost, but not everyone's going to be happy with the decision we make. Our aim was to keep the show on. And look, it would have been quite easy for us as a business. You know, whatever way this show goes, it's not good for us financially. But the key for us was to keep the event on, you know, to keep the undercard fighters who have been training for 12 weeks as well, or 10, 12 weeks. You know, they don't get paid otherwise. So one way, if we cancel the show, everyone's like, oh, useless. These lot, you know, not giving people opportunities. We keep the show on, someone's going to complain. It's kind of like we just had to make the best decision within a short space of time. And I think we've delivered. You know, I don't think you can really complain about anything. It's not on pay-per-view anymore. If you want a refund, you can get a refund on your tickets. It can't be fairer than that.
Frank, just finally from me, in terms of moving forward after the 12th of August, will it be your goal and priority to get Anthony Joshua versus Deontay Wilder signed for December, January, February, whenever you just need to make that fight next?
100%. That's our focus. That's our intention. It has been for a long time. You know, a number of representatives from Skill Challenge represent Saudi boxing will be over for the show this week. That's our intention, to get that show locked in. Like you say, in that sort of time period you mentioned there, it's a fight everyone wants to see, and we will do everything we can.
Well, Frank, I'm sure we will catch up once again tomorrow at the press conference. The Nordic Nightmare is flying in from Finland, I believe. So all systems are go. A final message from you after what has probably been a stressful couple of days.
The Nordic Nightmare had to get a ferry as well to get to the airport.
A ferry?
It's a quick ferry. It's not like a 9-hour ferry, just to give everyone some comfort. Final message, tune in. It's a massive heavyweight night of boxing live on DAZN as part of your subscription. If you're not a subscriber, sign up. Price is